Hi, my name is Kira Connolly. I read the poem Survivor. And before I read the poem, I felt anticipation because I was anticipating my feelings of how I'm going to feel when I read the poem and how I'm going to emotionally react. And I also just felt boredom in general, just in my life right now. But after the poem, I felt sadness and remorse. And I think a line that really stood out to me was ideas are mere words, virtue and crime, truth and lies, beauty and ugliness, courage and cowardice. I think this really stood out to me because I am a firm believer of actions speak louder than words, that saying, and I think that this sort of touches on it by saying ideas are just words, they're not reality. And I think it's interesting how he says truth and lies because, they are really just words. They're not actually representative of what will happen in society and what can happen in society. Um, I think this emotionally touched me just because I think there's a lot of, dishonesty in the world, and it's hard to see what is reality and what's not. Um, I also really liked the line, I seek a teacher and a master. May he restore my sight, hearing, and speech. May he again name objects and ideas. May he separate darkness from light. I thought this really stood out because it sort of seemed like a cry for help from him, and it seems like he can't really ground himself in what reality is or what society is supposed to be. Obviously, because he experienced terrible things, which is a valid response for what happened. But I think this was just really interesting because he was asking to restore his sight, hearing, and speech, which are basic human rights. And I think that sort of reminds me of the Holocaust a little bit because their human rights were taken away, and he himself feels disconnected from that basic human right. And I also really liked how he says in the beginning, I am 24, led to slaughter, I survived, and in the end he said the same thing. And I think that's really touching because he reminds us who he is, how young he was, and what he experienced. And I think it's really it's really touching. So, yeah.